Now these are the HOKA Stinson 8 and they've seen a massive upgrade compared to the HOKA Stinson 7. It's lighter, a different geometry, different fit. I'm going to break down all of these specs so you know if it's worthwhile picking them up. And as always, this is a very independent review. I put 80 kilometers into these shoes, both hiking and running. So let's break down the key features. Well, on top, we've got a brand new upper that's a bit more breathable than what we saw in the Stinson 7. In addition to that, the fit is different. So you can see it's a little bit more tapered towards the toe box compared to that very wide fit that we saw in the Stinson 7. Now that was very rare for a HOKA shoe, and although it's not as tapered as something like the Challenger or the Speedgoat 7, it's still a little bit narrower than before. Something to keep in mind if you have a wider foot. However, the lockdown on top of the shoe is exceptional around the midfoot and the heel. I actually really struggle to get my foot out of the shoe, so when it's locked in, I'm not going anywhere on top of that platform. So that contributes to the stability of the shoe alongside a nice rigid heel counter. Now, the cushioning is the same CMEVA cushioning that we saw in the last model. However, it has a new enhanced H-frame, which is slightly stiffer than what we saw in the last model, but it's also a little bit more dynamic when you're moving from side to side. So you get a really stable feel on top of the shoe, even though you've got more cushioning compared to the Stinson 7. So more cushioning, a little bit of a softer blend than what we felt in the last one, which was quite firm. Now the firmness made it extra stable. However, it's not compromised in terms of stability by having that softer feel underfoot. Then underneath, we've got the Durabrasion rubber, and we slightly shorter lugs, so 3.5 versus 4mm lugs. So it's a bit more of a road to trail shoe. So because of those shorter lugs, it makes it a bit more versatile of an option. Whereas on the other hand, it's not as good in terms of technical terrain or in that deep mud because you've got those shorter lugs underfoot. Then the geometry is very different as well. So you can see we've got this really aggressive heel bevel and forefoot rocker. So it's a lot more fun to walk, hike and run in. When you're running on the flat, it feels a bit more like a road shoe. And when you're hiking, it just rolls you forward nicely, especially when you're traversing. So it's actually a much more fun shoe to move in, a bit more fun to walk in overall, in my opinion. Then in terms of the stability features, yes, we have that enhanced H-frame. You can see we have this really large sidewall on the outside and the inside. Now that comes up, cradles your heel and your ankle, helping to keep you centered in the shoe. H-frame, sidewalls, we've got a broad base support under the shoe. I must say it's slightly narrower than the Stinson 7, but that was just like a massive tank of a shoe overall. So by making it lighter and a bit more aggressive in the geometry, it's definitely favorable for me. Then back to the stability, you still have some sole flare, which is where the sole comes out wider than where your foot sits in the shoe. I think the narrower platform and that sole flare just means that you have that bit more tapered toe box. Now, it does have a little bit of toe spring. You can see where the toes sit slightly elevated within the shoe, and that means that it helps with the propulsion phase of the gait cycle. However, if you're someone who suffers with issues around the ball of the foot, something to take note of. It's very stiff in the forefoot, but there's a little bit more give compared to the Stinson 7 again. So it's just overall, it's a very different shoe. Then when it comes to performance, for hiking, I've absolutely loved this shoe. Personally, I prefer a little bit of a stable neutral shoe, so having that extra bit of stability but the lighter weight compared to the Stinson 7 makes me really enjoy this overall. I felt really stable in it when I'm moving downhill, changing direction. When I'm walking on the flats, even on the road, I don't notice that I'm wearing a trail shoe. So top-notch job done for HOKA there. When it comes to running, we've got a couple of bonus features. The lighter weight, the slightly narrower platform makes it a bit more nimble on the trails compared to the Stinson 7, which personally I thought was a bit of a tank. It was more of a hiking shoe than a running shoe. The Stinson 8 is definitely a more versatile option. So when running, going uphill, it's light enough that I can move at a slightly faster pace. Yes, it's not a racing shoe, but when you're looking at max cushioning, max stiffness and stability, this does a great job. I would use it for moderate to long distance runs. If you wanted an easy day to recover in and you wanted lots of protection underneath your foot, this is also a great option. So for me, a massive improvement. One of the only downsides to this shoe, in my opinion, is just that tapering of the toe box. Just really wasn't necessary overall. If they kept the width there, but the new lockdown in the midfoot and the heel, and in lighter weight with the enhanced stability, this would be probably the best stability shoe on the market right now. So that's just one thing to note for HOKA. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to check out the latest prices and where you live. And if you're new to the channel or you check us out regularly but haven't subscribed, please do, as it makes a massive difference to the channel. Thank you very much for watching.